In this edition of Real American Heroes, Jeff Minder. Can a dog be taught to sniff out COVID? You don't want to miss this. Welcome to this edition of Real American Heroes. I'm Oliver North. Our guest today, Jeff Minder, who spent 11 years as a U.S. Air Force survival, evasion, resistance, and escape instructor. That's SERE for those of us who've been there, and for those of you who didn't know, that's what it means when you hear somebody say it on TV. He's used his skills to develop the foundation dog training process and launched Top Tier Canine in 2014. Today, Top Tier Canine is recognized as the #1 working dog trainer school in the country and first in the world to train a dog, you ready? To hunt for and indicate COVID-19 viruses. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Colonel. It's an honor to be here with you.
So I want to take you back to when you were a SERE instructor and then talk about these remarkable dogs, because I've got my dog right here with me. And she is a service dog, but not to do all the things that you're doing. Okay, so tell me about being a SERE instructor, because I went through SERE training back at Stead Air Force Base in 1966. So tell us about your experience with SERE.
Well, I started at Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington in '82, where I worked in the field survival training element, and then graduated on to the resistance training portions of SERE training at Fairchild. I was there about 5.5 years and then was selected to work out of Hurlburt Field in Air Force Special Operations. And I was the first SERE instructor actually assigned to the Air Force Special Operations first SAL was at the First Special Operations Wing. Went down there about '88, trained, got to travel all over the world, actually become an operational SERE specialist versus just teaching. We actually helped create the deployable SERE instructor, now a SERE specialist. So now at Hurlburt Field, I believe there's 30 of them. So when I was there by myself and traveled and went through Desert Shield and Desert Storm, got hurt on a parachuting accident, which I'm sure today they would have found a way to fix me up and keep me in. But back then it was a medical retirement. But I had the honor of having trained a couple pilots who were shot down soon after their training. One was Captain Dale Storr at the time in Saudi, who was shot down. And he told me that the refresher training I gave him just before he got shot down made it easy to deal with Udi Hussein. And he said my training was harder than the real situation. So that felt good to know that the military prepares their instructors and prepares their folks to take it to the leading edge, to put that person in a realist situation as you can put them. So when the real situation does confront them, they're prepared.
So, okay, you go from SERE. How did you start with dogs? I mean,
well, Colonel, I was going to be one of those mavericks, right? So I actually finished my degree with Troy State University. While I was in a desert in Saudi Arabia, I took my final multivariable calculus test, a single question that I got. It took me like months to do, but I got to mail that back. But I graduated and was accepted to OTS, Officer Training School, there at SERE. But then I got medically retired. At Hurlburt, then I got medically retired. And then I'm like, well, what do I do? So I started writing code. I was laying in a hospital bed. I was busted up pretty bad. And I just applied what I knew to some strange computer language that the Florida legislature was putting in for their bills and calendar systems. And I passed with 100% when I could walk again as a programmer, and they subcontracted software development. And then I just took the same, put one foot in front of the other, live with honor, integrity, and nail it, right? Don't quit until you're the best. And so I just rose up, had a big software development company that I sold during the .com era, and I retired. I was 44, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't have to work another day in my life. And that lasted about 1.5 years, Colonel, and I gained about 100 pounds, and I haven't lost it all yet. But I said, I can't do this anymore, man. God had other purposes for me. And so I came back in. I had gone galt, I called it, and I decided I needed to make a difference for my grandkids in the world. So I came back at it, and I said, I'm gonna teach other people to do something. I'm gonna teach them how to start their own businesses, and I'm gonna help people bond with dogs, because that's a cure-all for most ailments that humans face.
I can understand how you train a dog to hunt, I can train. I've seen dogs helping wounded guys, by opening doors and things like that. Go get, help them get in and out of wheelchairs and the like. But training a dog to detect COVID, how'd you do it? How did you do it?
Well, it started with my SERE background, right? It's a
Sure.
deadly pandemic, and it was going to destroy the world, let alone our economy. And return with honor, right? To prepare others, right? So I sacrificed myself mentally, and I went ahead and exposed myself to the virus early on, about in March, in a way to extract the virus so I could build a scent system for my dogs. So it started with me being willing to expose myself without fully knowing the extent of the virus. Then it required me to ensure my dogs could be exposed to it without it being zoonotic, meaning could jump from human to dog. Right. So I had these things called the foundation dogs, which I got a trademark on, but these are dogs I put through a series of training, a process of training. It's a special forces training program for dogs. So just imagine the Q course, for the Army, and we're taking a puppy into that. And we're training that puppy just like we train humans to be the best they can be. I developed this program using project management, using systems development to train these foundation dogs. So I had 40 of them on the shelf. I was selling them as protection dogs, police canine, and I'm like, well, I've got these amazing nose dogs. I could teach them how to hunt. Now all I got to do is expose them through my program to the scent of the virus, and they already know how to hunt, so they'll hunt the virus. Sure. Again, I made a replicable process where I can add odor to these. Imagine these foundation dogs who in 2 weeks I had finding the live virus, not just the illness that surrounded the virus, not just the volatile organic compounds, the mass destruction the virus creates in the human body. We put our dogs on the actual virus. Now, the next pandemic, I can put my dogs on the new virus in 2 weeks. So we can be at the airports, we can be at the ports of entry, at the mail rooms, and we can stop the pandemic before it happens. I'm teaching other people how to train dogs to find a virus. Colonel, I'm in this like we were in the military. It isn't about just me and my business and making profit from my inventions. It's about fighting for America. It's about fighting for our economy and fighting for capitalism. So I got the virus, I bought it, I paid a lot of money for it. I had a laboratory help me work with it. And we made it happen. And it's the first time a dog's ever hunted for and indicated on an actual virus that tiny.
I'm fascinated by this. When you're deciding, okay, I got to get some more dogs over here, you've got to contact somewhere in one of those other countries where these dogs are being bred, and they're not breeding the brains out of them to make them look pretty. If you've got those kinds of assets, are there others that are now going to start training a dog to, for example, detect COVID? COVID, it strikes me, unlike somebody carrying drugs through an airport or a firearm or an IED being built, that's got to be a person, doesn't it?
I'm very careful, Colonel, to not sound like or look like I need a tinfoil hat. But my dogs have been indicating on the little silicone gel packs that are shipped out of China in computers and cell phones. So my dogs indicate on that.
Wow.
The laboratory test systems aren't capable of getting 18 million molecules of COVID, which they need to give a positive test. Dogs only need 10 molecules of COVID. So our dogs are more accurate than the laboratory tests. And that's freaking people out at CDC and everywhere else because, my dog says there's COVID on that silicone gel pack. They can't prove or disprove it with the laboratory tests. So then they trust the laboratory more than the dogs, and it's creating this conflict that we're going to be investing big time in laboratory assets so that we can really tie canine with traditional science, because trust me, ours is as important to science and an approach to science as theirs is.
Sure.
And we want to gel them a little more because our dogs are finding COVID in places that almost look like it's being delivered to Americans and not just happen chance through a mask.
Yeah, well, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that somebody is ultimately going to determine that this virus came from a laboratory in Wuhan province of China, or the city of Wuhan in China, and at least if they didn't release it intentionally, It got away from them through some error, perhaps, and spread around the world and killed millions of people, and for which they've accepted absolutely zero responsibility. And I'm a little concerned at this point if they're not going to start buying your dogs to check on their own people who may be leaking this stuff out of one of those laboratories. And that's possible, I suppose.
It's very concerning, Colonel. And what I did early on, and this was before Pfizer, again, I was in the loop, right? And hey, come on, SERE and the stuff I did at Hurlburt, sure. It's kind of counterintelligence with some of the work. Sure. But I'm confident, and I put my dogs specifically on the protein spike on the virus because I believe that's the battleship that they're attaching the viruses to. And on one side, a canine virus attaches. On the other side, it attaches to a human cell. But I believe that the manufactured product that is in the COVID-19 virus is that protein spike. And then Pfizer actually put their vaccine or their gene therapy treatment actually looks for that protein spike and destroys it, so the virus cannot attach to a human cell. So they kind of ended up doing from the laboratory side what we had already done from the canine side, and it looks like I was right. So what's really cool is when they say there's a variant of this virus, as long as Pfizer's vaccine still works, my dogs still find it, right? Because they're very specific. They're on the whole virus, but we really nail that protein spike. If that protein spike exists, our dogs are telling us.
Jeff, tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you and your organization.
We're at it's toptiercanine.com. So that's TOPTIER, letter K, number 9.com. Sign up for our school. We have ongoing dog training programs, ongoing pet training programs. We provide service dogs that also protect for our disabled veterans. Just got a pararescueman and a Navy SEAL just bought their own service dogs that will protect their home and their family. Because, God, when you suffer PTSD, that dog's watching your back while you sleep, and you no longer need the dope. You no longer from drugs from the VA. You don't need the alcohol to sleep at night because your dog's got your back. If you're getting a good night's sleep, you're making your appointments, you're going to your counseling, your life's a little better. These dogs are the closest thing to curing PTSD that I've ever seen in my life.
Jeff, thank you for being with us today and sharing a great story.
Thank you, Colonel. It's an honor, and thank you for all you've done for this great country. You are an American hero.
You're kind, brother. If Jeff's story has given you hope or inspired you to be a better American, take time now to subscribe or comment and let me know. And until next time, remember, Semper Fidelis is more than a slogan for U.S. Marines. Always faithful is a way of life.